why SAFe is needed. In this video, let us talk about why scaled agile framework was created. In Scrum, there is a concept of a sprint, and I'm sure if you know a little bit about Scrum, sprint is nothing but a time-bound approach where you define what you want to do in the next 2 weeks or maybe 3 weeks. And the whole idea of using Scrum is that you break up your project into various modules, and these modules are something that you aim to deliver after every sprint or after every iteration. Now, Agile works really well for a small to medium sized team, but it can have some challenges when you try to do the same thing for a bigger team, or maybe when you try to implement Agile in a big enterprise. The concept of Scrum tells you that your team size cannot be too big. When you have a big project, when you have multiple people involved, and if the team size is growing, you should ideally have maybe 2 teams or maybe 3 teams. But there is a limit of how many teams you can handle at the same time. You may have a different Scrum Master for every Scrum based team, but you still need to have some set of practices to align those teams together, because you may have your team A working on a feature or working on their own project, which might be independent from team B's project or team C's project, but there might be some dependencies. For example, if you're working on a specific sprint, and for that sprint to complete successfully, you need some input from team B, and team B might need some input from team C. And this can happen, especially in big enterprises where teams work quite independently. They have their own priorities. You need to have some alignment. Without this, your agile based approach won't really work. So, if we talk about SAFe, in SAFe you have different levels. So, of course, you have your Scrum teams, and those Scrum teams are nothing but your teams in SAFe. But above your team level, you have a program level, and above your program level, you have one optional level called value stream, and then you have a portfolio level. So you have multiple levels in your SAFe, and we'll talk about these levels and what people are involved, what is the purpose of these levels, and how these levels work together. But in this video, I wanted to basically highlight that SAFe was created to have some common guidelines so that these teams who might be working on different projects, but they do have a common goal, they do have some common vision, and they can only succeed if these teams are talking to each other on a regular basis. Just like you have in Scrum your daily meetings, your daily Scrum meetings, where you talk to each and every team member if everything is fine, if something is blocking you, what you did yesterday, what you are planning to do today, and if something is blocking you, please let us know and we can take some measures. It might not be possible to have these daily meetings across the teams. Independent teams, independent Scrum teams will surely be doing their daily stand ups, and they will be discussing these things. But whether team A needs an input from team B or team B needs an input from team C, it is a bit cumbersome to have this alignment unless you have some set of guidelines. And these set of guidelines are defined by SAFe. Now you have SAFe guidelines, and as of November 2019, the current version is SAFe 4.6. So you have different versions of these guidelines, and if you go to the scaledagileframework.com, you can of course go through these details and you can understand how SAFe work. You will probably get a diagram, a familiar diagram that talks about different levels. If you look at that diagram, it might look intimidating, but the concept of SAFe basically tells you that you need to have different teams who should be talking to each other. And especially in big companies, in enterprises where they have hundreds of people, they are trying to do something together and they do have their own independent priorities, but they need some set of guidelines to have some common alignment. So I hope this video was useful and you learned something new today. Thank you very much.